All right, in this video, I'm going to go through the process of making the beginning of your gumball machine. It's actually the base is what we're going to draw first, and it's what we'll build upon later in this process. But it is the first drawing that we've done in SketchUp. So I'm going to start with the rectangle tool. When drawing items in SketchUp, you always click to start an object, move the direction you want to draw. I did not drag anything. I simply single-clicked, moved the mouse, then I'm going to type in the numbers that we want. In this case, we want to type in 11, 4, and we're going to press return. It looks really small at first, and that is typically, that's very normal. And I'm going to zoom into it by simply taking 2 fingers on my trackpad and pushing forward. Okay, I don't push the trackpad, I just roll the fingers a little bit forward, and that will zoom you in. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the push-pull tool. I'm going to select the top of this rectangle, and I'm going to push it up 0.75 inches. Press return. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in to this corner of the object. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit to it. And then using the orbit tool, I'm going to roll it around a little bit. So I'm kind of seeing this corner here. Your screen doesn't have to look exactly like mine, but the point is we're working on this section of the rectangle. Next, we're going to add some guidelines. We use the tape measure tool to create guidelines. And to create guidelines, if you want a horizontal guideline, you first select a horizontal line. So I'm going to click on the top line of the object. I'm going to move my mouse down, and I'm going to type in 1/16 and press return. Then I'm going to select that guideline, and I'm going to move down 3/16. Then I select that line again, move down 3/16, or type 3/16, whichever works. Then I'm going to go to the end line. I'm going to move in 3/16, select that guideline, move in 3/16. So now we've created a little bit of a grid here to get the shape of our lines correctly. Next, I'm going to come over to the arc tool. I'm going to select the second option, which is called a 2-point arc. So I'm going to select the 2-point arc. I'm going to first draw a line from this corner to this corner, and then I'm going to move down, and I'm going to move down. This is known as the bulge. If you look down in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, you see the word bulge and then a number there. I'm simply going to type, again, you don't ever have to put your mouse there. You just type. I'm going to type in 3/64 and press return. Then I'm going to go to the top of that arc, go diagonally. This time I'm going to move my mouse to the right, and again, type in 3/64 and press return or enter. And then at this point, I'm going to get my line tool, and I'm going to draw a line from the end of this arc up to the top of the object. So now I have this little shape right here. It's much easier to see after you delete your guides. The way you want to delete your guides is over here. We have several different palettes. The one I'm going to work with, this one right here, it's the display palette. When you click on your display palette, you select this option right here where it says delete all guides. So I'm going to select that. The guides go away and you're left with this new fancy little shape right there. Okay. Next step in the process is, again, using my orbit tool. I'm going to kind of come around like this so that I can clearly see the top of the object and clearly see the shape that I just created. If I were to use the push-pull tool here and I push that back, it creates that nice little decorative edge there. Problem with using the push-pull tool here is that you can't turn the corner and create this decorative edge all the way around the top of this piece, which is what I want to do. So I'm going to undo what I just did. This is the undo button right here. And instead of using the push-pull tool, I'm going to use the follow me tool, which is in the push-pull tool, but it's the second option. To use this tool, it's a little bit different between the Mac and the Chromebook. For most of you using the Chromebooks, you select the shape. You're going to hold the Alt key down. You're going to move your mouse to the top of the rectangle and continue holding the Alt key down and click. And that shape will go all the way around the object. If you're on a Mac, same thing, get the follow me tool, select your shape, but instead of the Alt key, you will use the Command key. So you hold the Command key down, move to the top of the object and click, and the shape will go around the edges. At this point, you're going to save. You're going to call this whatever period you're in. So if you're in my second period class, you're going to call this, you would start with a 2. If you're in my fifth period class, it would start with a 5. If you're in my eighth period class, it would start with an 8. Okay, so I'm going to call this 1 underscore. We're going to call this gumball underscore, and then you're going to use your last name. So instead of writing Davis, if your last name was Smith, you would put in Smith. Okay. So whatever your last name is what goes there. We're going to click OK. It's going to ask you to select a folder within your Google Drive. So if you have a UA folder, great. Whatever it is, wherever you want to save it that makes sense to you, where you're going to be able to find it, then that's where you should save it. I'm going to save it right here in my 7.1 folder. And that is it for this particular piece of the gumball machine.